Hello, and thank you for joining Fireside with a VC. My name is Andrew Romans, and I'm very excited to have Dixon Doll join us today to talk about venture capital and startups. Dixon is one of my mentors and one of everyone's heroes, one of the early, nearly founders of the venture capital ecosystem in Silicon Valley, early at Excel, I believe is the founded the first ever telecom only VC fund, which is how he got on my radar when I was a telecom entrepreneur in the mid 1990s raising VC funding. He's also a founder of, I believe, over 4 billion AUM, but proper venture capital at what was, I think, Doll Management and became DCM. You may have been to one of his famous Christmas parties at the San Francisco Asian Museum, where I believe he's the chairman or on the board, one of his charitable endeavors. But please welcome Dixon Doll. And before we dive into predictions of our uncertain macroeconomic environment and how that's impacting startups and VCs, Dixon, thanks again for joining us. And could you give the audience a little background on yourself? They don't know you as well as I do on your journey to getting to where you are today.
First of all, thank you very much, Andrew, for giving me this opportunity to have this conversation. I started out with 3 degrees in electrical engineering back in the Midwest. I was very fortunate to marry a lovely woman who'd been married 55 years, which is, I think, the longest marriage, I don't know, of live people in San Francisco right now. And but we started out with all the Midwestern values and work ethic. I spent my summers working on a farm, but I did grow up in Kansas City and Shawnee Mission, and I went on to play college football and be involved in athletics and do 3 degrees in engineering, and then decided that I really wanted to figure out what I needed to do when I got started. So we got married, and right after the year I got my master's. I worked out at MIT Lincoln Labs that summer, and then we went back to Ann Arbor, and I spent 4 more years doing my PhD on the internet of all things. One of the first performance modeling theses, and I tried out a whole bunch of different things. After that, I went to work for a startup in Ann Arbor that was miserably managed and failed, and that's always one of the great teachers of at least for people that are responsive to and make adaptable and can make changes after that. So then I decided, after that startup failed, I started a consulting practice, and then consulting is consulting, and we don't need to spend a lot of time on that. Everybody knows that if you can't bill an hour, you can't put food on the table, and I got tired of that life. I taught some various classes at a very special school in New York, the Systems Research Institute. Tom Watson started it as a special place, and I was fortunate enough to be able to be one of 4 or 5 adjunct professors that they had there, and I flew in there probably 35 times a year for about 5 years. Then I got tired of the consulting. There are a lot of good things that happen, and we don't need to go into those today, but I met some really interesting people there, and I finally decided that I really wanted to go into venture capital, and so I couldn't figure out how I was going to do that, and interviewed around, and got to the folks at Accel Partners who I really liked, and they got it. They understood the vision, and we collectively started the world's first venture fund focused on telecommunications. And after that, I was there for several years, and probably about 10. And I don't have the numbers exactly right, but in 1994, I felt it was time to go out and try it on my own. And that's when we started Doll Capital Management that you just referred to. And that worked out very well. And we were fortunate enough to be able to become one of the very first Silicon Valley firms, probably the first Silicon Valley firm that opened up China in a serious way. And I mean, over the years, and then I've done some other stuff since then, but investing in private companies these days. But I'm just excited about innovation, and I kind of wanted to spend a good chunk of time going forward here, in a nonprofit world. I'm very proud to be involved with the University of San Francisco, and my wife and I are involved in we're both on the board of the opera here. I was on the board of the symphony for a while, and I was the chairman of the Asian Art Museum. I actually hired the current CEO. He's just totally amazing. And he came out of the Midwest, just coincidentally. And so, I've gone on and done all those things, and I've been, just recently slowing down a little bit and shifting my interests to much more to charitable and nonprofit causes. So I'm on the board of the Papal Foundation also in Rome, and but I've never stopped being intrigued by the whole innovation process, and we're at this point right now in time when innovation is going to be the key to the companies and the venture funds and all the stuff that's going to be successful going forward.